In a world that's constantly shifting under our feet, innovation isn't just some nice to have luxury. It's really the core strategy for survival and growth. So today, we're going to break down how you can build a culture that doesn't just react to change, but actually gets out there and creates it.
Let's kick things off with a really foundational idea, one that's often tied to Steve Jobs. Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. This quote just completely reframes the whole conversation, doesn't it? It tells us that before we even get into the tech or the budgets, innovation really starts with your mindset.
So that brings us to a super important question for you. When you look at all the changes happening in your industry or even just in your own role, what do you see? Is it this big opportunity just waiting to be seized? Or is it a threat you have to manage? Well, this whole explainer is about how to get your team to shift their perspective and see opportunity everywhere. All right, first up, let's talk about building what I like to call your idea factory. This is all about creating a system, a real process to consistently generate new ideas. We're moving brainstorming from a once-in-a-while meeting to a core everyday practice. So what do we actually mean by brainstorming? Because it's way more than just throwing ideas at a whiteboard, right? It's a structured process, and it's specifically designed to unlock the collective intelligence of your entire team. The real goal here is to bring everyone's unique point of view to the table, to spark those truly breakthrough ideas. And why does this matter so much? Well, it's about way more than just getting a list of ideas. When you do it right, brainstorming unlocks diverse input from every single corner of your organization. It helps you tackle really tough problems from all these different angles. It boosts a sense of team ownership over the solutions. And this is a big one. It breaks down those silos that just kill creativity. So how do you do it effectively? The process is actually refreshingly simple. First, you've got to prepare the team. Get everyone on the same page. Second, you facilitate the session with a really clear focus. And third, and honestly, this is the part people almost always forget, you need a system to capture and, most importantly, act on the best ideas. And that third step, acting on ideas, is just perfectly illustrated by Google's famous 20% time policy. See, it wasn't just about encouraging people to brainstorm. It was a system that gave employees the power to truly act on their passion projects. And that's how we got game changers like Gmail. Okay, so if brainstorming is our idea factory, what happens to all the ideas it produces? Well, that brings us to our second pillar, the innovation engine. This is where research and development, R&D, comes in to transform those raw ideas into real, tangible value. Now, what does a serious commitment to R&D even look like? Take a look at this number, $100 million. That's how big Amazon's Alexa fund is. It's an investment they created specifically to accelerate innovation in voice technology. It just goes to show you the scale of commitment it takes to truly lead in a competitive market. But here's the thing, just spending money is not enough. The absolutely crucial point is that R&D efforts have to be tightly aligned with your strategic business goals. So for example, a healthcare company might invest in AI diagnostics, but the goal is to improve patient outcomes. Or an auto manufacturer develops autonomous tech with the goal of enhancing vehicle safety. In every single case, the R&D focus has a direct line to a clear business objective. And beyond that alignment, there are other key strategies. Fostering collaboration across different departments is just vital. Embracing what's called open innovation, think of Procter & Gamble's Connect and Develop program that actually sources ideas from outside the company. That can be a total game changer. And of course, you absolutely need leadership buy-in and a clear way to measure and communicate the impact of all these investments. Okay, so we've got our idea factory and we've got our innovation engine. Now, the real magic happens when you bring them together to create this powerful, self-reinforcing system, the virtuous cycle of innovation. It's a simple but incredibly powerful loop. Step 1, brainstorming generates all these new ideas. That's the fuel. Then, step 2, R&D transforms the very best of those ideas into reality. That's the fire. And then, each success from R&D inspires even more brainstorming, which just fuels the cycle all over again. But hey, let's be realistic here. Building this cycle, it's not always a smooth ride. There are some really common traps that can derail even the best intentions. So let's take a look at what they are and, more importantly, how to get around them. Here we go. Clear strategies for each of those common traps. If you're facing resource constraints, the key is to be ruthless about prioritizing the highest impact projects. If you're dealing with a culture that's scared of risk, you have to create a safe-to-fail environment where experimenting is actually encouraged.
And to fight that short-term focus, you have to consciously balance the quick wins with those bigger, long-term strategic bets.
So we've covered the factory, the engine, and the cycle. The only thing left to do is to ignite your very first spark. It's time to turn all these concepts into concrete action. And that brings us to our final question. And this isn't just a rhetorical one. Think of it as a call to action. Looking at everything we've talked about, what is one single idea, big or small, that you can take to your team tomorrow to brainstorm? Because that's how innovation really gets started. Not with some grand plan, but with a single spark.